Truck Series owners call on NASCAR to up the purse money, and Daniel Suarez says it may take months to determine his Trackhouse future. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Happy Friday, folks. It is a very happy Friday. Indeed, a packed, albeit abbreviated weekend of stock car racing action. Tonight, the Xfinity Series races at Atlanta on the CW. Tomorrow, the Craftsman Truck Series gets a standalone road course event on Big Fox Lime Rock Park. Followed up, of course, by the Cup Series at Atlanta Saturday night on TNT and HBO Max. Both Lime Rock Park, a road course, and Atlanta, a super speedway type track, present opportunities for different drivers to win their way into their respective playoffs. Carson Hocevar just posted this photo today of his runner-up finish in February. Motivation for this weekend, perhaps? We'll talk trucks in a moment, but there is one Cup Series driver in particular who needs a big weekend. Daniel Suarez, 27th in Cup points on an expiring contract. He needs to win. This weekend specifically is a great opportunity. Suarez has adjusted to new Atlanta better than almost anyone else. He has 5 finishes of 6th or better in 7 starts. Last season, Suarez finished 1st and 2nd in the 2 Atlanta races, but this past February was a huge disappointment. Suarez qualified 29th, earned 0 stage points, and got caught up in a big wreck. Huge bummer. And everyone knows, looking ahead, that Trackhouse has important decisions to make. They have 3 Cup Series seats for 4 drivers. Ross Chastain has a contract, SVG expected to return, so it comes down to Daniel Suarez versus young Connor Zilisch. Zilisch just won his 2nd Xfinity Series race of the year, his first oval win at Pocono. Daniel Suarez, meanwhile, was on the Dale Jr. download this week, and Dale asked him about his ongoing contract negotiations, and this is what Suarez said, quote, "It's going to be a couple or a few months. We'll see what happens. There are still a lot of things in the air right now. There are just some things that I'm just uncomfortable in a few areas, and a few things, the way a few things have been handled, but I love Trackhouse and I love this team. This team has been my best home in the Cup Series." A far from certain answer there. A few months? Yeah, that sounds like Trackhouse is waiting to see how the regular season wraps up. Daniel Suarez may not just be racing for a playoff spot, he may be racing for his next contract. I like Daniel Suarez a lot. Charismatic, outgoing, nice guy. All the conversations I've had with him have always been very positive. He's more open and honest, frankly, than most other Cup Series drivers. And I've praised him before, and I'll praise him again now for how well he carried himself in Mexico City. The weight of the entire stock car racing world rested on his shoulders. Extra work, extra appearances, extra pressure, and Daniel handled it with grace. Went out and won the Xfinity Series race that Saturday. So there's a lot to like about Daniel, but these next few weeks, Atlanta, one of his best statistical tracks, Sonoma coming up in a couple weeks, he's won there before. These are make or break weekends, in my opinion, because while I still think it's too early to make a final decision, right now, if I had to make a selection, I would lean towards putting Connor Zilisch in that 3rd Cup car next year. Hear me out. If this was 5 or 6 years ago, I would fully endorse leaving Connor Zilisch in Xfinity for another year, less pressure, less spotlight, let him continue to develop, get more reps. But because today, the next-gen Cup car drives so different than the Xfinity Series car, I think it's important to get these young drivers in Cup as quickly as possible to begin getting that experience. And clearly, a lot of other teams agree with me. I mean, Spire Motorsports skipped the Xfinity Series entirely with Carson Hocevar, put him right in a Cup car, and he looks like a playoff contender at age 22. Front row with Todd Gilliland did a similar thing. Zane Smith made a similar jump. Corey Heim looks pretty competitive in his Select Cup starts. Getting that next-gen experience in this day and age is very important. Daniel Suarez right now is barely top 30 in points. I think Connor Zilisch could do that. And Connor probably gives you a better shot at winning a road course race right now. And I think he has a higher ceiling. With Daniel Suarez, I like him, but You know what you're going to get at this point. Just a few weeks ago, Connor Zilisch ran the Coca-Cola 600. Longest Cup Series race. It's his second Cup start, first ever on an oval. He was in a fourth Trackhouse car. He got caught up in someone else's incident early on, spun through the turf, and finished 23rd. Like, that's a respectable result in my opinion. I think Connor Zilisch right now at 18, 19 years old is mature enough to make the jump to Cup. I mean, Dale Earnhardt Jr. said it just a few days ago. He thinks like a 35-year-old veteran. If Trackhouse puts Connor Zilisch in a Cup car next year full-time, he's going to struggle at many of the ovals, but I don't think he'll be much worse, if at all, than Daniel Suarez right now. And the experience Zilisch will be gaining at this young age, when we know he has so much talent, so much potential, I believe will be valuable. So that is where I'm leaning currently. That's why there's so much extra pressure on Daniel Suarez this weekend at one of his best tracks and the next few weeks with road course races coming up. I think that when he says that it could be months until he knows his Trackhouse future, that tells me Justin Marks and company are waiting to see how the regular season wraps up. Daniel Suarez not just racing for a playoff spot these next few weeks, he is potentially racing for his Trackhouse future. Now, from playoff pressure to financial pressure, I guess, Dalton Hopkins, writing for frontstretch.com, made an astute observation that Craftsman Truck Series fields have dwindled significantly in just the past couple of years. He notes in this article that I will link down in the description below that only one truck race this season has seen a full 36 truck field, and that was Daytona, the opener. In this article, Dalton compiled some dramatic quotes from anonymous Truck Series team owners and officials. This first quote jumped off the page, in my opinion. An anonymous truck team official told Front Stretch, quote, "Anyone with any kind of business sense can look at a balance sheet and say, this is a nightmare. This is a complete dumpster fire. Get out, get out, get out. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I don't know how this truck series is going to survive other than it's just a rich man's playground." Strong words there, my goodness. Obviously, there's a huge difference in budgets between some of the top truck teams like Tricon and, say, Rheum Brothers. Again, these quotes are all anonymous, so I'm not exactly sure which side of the garage they're coming from, but universally there seems to be agreement that the Truck Series teams don't feel they're getting paid enough. I know everything is a business. Cups have charters, the other series don't. The Cup cars are spec, the Xfinity and trucks aren't. Like, I understand that there are different network agreements, so on and so forth. But yeah, it does seem crazy to me that the overall Truck Series purse at Pocono last weekend was 7% of the Cup Series purse. Just 7%. And keep in mind, Truck Series viewership at Pocono last weekend was almost 20% of Cup Series viewership. Not great, of course, for trucks. I mean, they only got like 350,000 average viewers at Pocono, so that's not good, but it's more than 7% of what the Cup Series got. So it does feel like their purse money payouts are not properly scaled. A lot of very strong comments in this article. Again, I encourage you to read the full thing on Front Stretch. I'll link it down below. I want to read just one more quote because throughout this article, I was looking for possible solutions. It's one thing to complain, hey, we don't get enough money, this sucks, we can barely make ends meet. I empathize with that, but now I want to find a solution. What's the solution? How can we make the bottom line make more sense? And it sounds like, generally speaking, the truck guys just want the purse money to go up. Here is one other quote from an anonymous team official. They said, quote, "The racing's so damn good. It really is. It's a good quality race, and we're spending good quality money to put this show on. But I don't think we fairly get any nice piece of the pie at all. So what's got to change? It's just NASCAR's got to increase the prize money." Yeah, I mean, that is a solution. I don't think it's ever quite that simple, but sure, the Truck Series purse being 7% of the Cup Series purse in a given weekend is wildly out of balance, in my opinion. So hopefully down the line, there is room for that to improve. Another quote in this piece mentions how expensive it is for truck teams to travel, especially out west to places like Las Vegas or Texas or even Phoenix. Like one person in this article notes that the Vegas spring race this year only had 31 trucks in the field. Remember, a full truck field is 36, so a lot of empty spots on the grid. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. I really want to hear your take down in the comment comment section below. What ideas do you have? But to me, it feels like the truck series needs to get back in some ways to what it was. You know, I hate to use the word regional because that sounds very insular and condensed, but like the truck series puts on a great short track product, much better than the Cup Series these days. That's a fact. I like some of the recent schedule changes they've made. Like they added North Wilkesboro to the truck schedule. It's a points race. That's great. I think that's been a great show. IRP, Indianapolis, great addition to the schedule. Rockingham, not exactly a short track, but right there in North Carolina. Rockingham was added to the schedule. Even Lime Rock Park, it's a road course, I guess, but nostalgic in some ways, not too far from home. It's just up the coast in Connecticut. And this race this weekend is on Big Fox. That's a big sponsorship opportunity, I'm sure, for many of the truck series teams. I think about ways the truck series can save the teams money without hurting, perhaps even helping the on-track product. Stick to more of these regional short tracks. Like, again, maybe there's a trade-off there because big markets like Las Vegas, Texas, Phoenix may help the team sell more sponsorship. So maybe you don't want to abandon those races, but the travel expenses associated with it. I think I saw a comment this past weekend, like, why were the trucks racing at Pocono this weekend, a massive 2.5 mile oval, when they could have been racing at a short track in the Northeast somewhere? And I think that's a fair point. I know there are so many logistics involved, double, triple header weekends. Following the Cup and Xfinity schedule allows for Cup drivers who have sponsor connections, have funding to drop down and run more truck series races. That can be a boost sometimes to some of these truck teams. So it's complicated. I'm just throwing an idea out there. I feel like the truck series identity needs to be rough, gritty, short track racing, road courses like Lime Rock, a little off the beaten path. It does help that the series is getting a new OEM next season with Ram re-entering the series. That's awesome. That should boost funding for certain teams that might team up with Ram. Like that's a really encouraging sign for this series overall. But you read some of these quotes, the lack of purse money, the poor payouts. It sounds very difficult for truck series teams to make ends meet. And we don't want this to be, what did that first quote say? We don't want the truck series to be just a rich man's playground. That's kind of what ARCA has become. The handful of teams with $1 million budgets blow the field out, and then the other seats are filled basically by people just trying to live the dream, I guess, just kind of out there having fun. It's not a great competitive racing product these days. I don't want the truck series to fall down that same hole. I don't think anyone does. So I'm all ears. I'm open to other ideas. This was a very eye-opening article in many ways from frontstretch.com. Still kind of piecing it together in my mind here. A lot of brings up some good points. I think raises some important questions going forward, but that's all I've got here today. I appreciate y'all watching this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. Again, leave a comment down below as well. Your thoughts on these truck series comments, your thoughts on Suarez, Zilisch, what should Trackhouse do next? What are you looking forward to this weekend at Atlanta, Lime Rock? Let me know down in the comments below. I will talk with y'all again this weekend after the Atlanta Cup Series race. But if you missed any of the content on the channel this week, there was a lot. We had a new Power Hour podcast with Brennan Poole. Our guest was John Hunter Nemechek. Had Jeb and Ward Burton on the show. We talked about the Rick Ware Racing team sale. I also made my full Cup Series in-season tournament, in-season challenge picks, round by round, matchup by matchup. Head to my channel, click around. A lot of good stuff in there you may have missed. But that's going to do it for today, folks. I'll talk with you again soon. Thanks for watching.